It began as a whisper in the mind of Elias Vern, a faint, insistent murmur that grew louder with each passing day. Ideas, when given form, do not remain whispers for long. They take root, they spread, and they consume. People are lost because they lack purpose, is the idea. The thought was simple, clear, undeniable. It gnawed at him, relentless in its clarity. If meaning could not be found, it had to be assigned. If people were not driven toward something, they would drift toward nothing. And nothing, Elias knew, was intolerable. He never forced anyone to follow him. He didn't have to. The idea did that for him. It did what all powerful ideas do. It made itself necessary. Those who embraced it felt liberated from the chaos of indecision, from the crushing weight of defining their own meaning. They clung to it like a lifeline, grateful for the clarity it brought. And so, the world reshaped itself. At first it was subtle. Workers became more efficient, their movements precise, their faces serene, each generation stepping into its predetermined place without question. Leaders enforced what was already inevitable. If purpose was to be given, it had to be uniform. Divergence threatened function. Soon, no one sought meaning. They merely accepted it. Choice was not outlawed. It was simply rendered meaningless. Elias watched at first with pride. But then as time carried on, something darker took place of pride. He had not expected it to spread so thoroughly. He had not foreseen a world where curiosity became an obsolete relic, where people no longer wondered why they did what they did. They simply did. It was then that Elias tried to resist. He spoke against the idea, attempting to introduce doubt. But doubt had no place in a world that ran on certainty. His words were not refuted. They were unheard. His arguments did not provoke anger, only polite confusion. "You gave us purpose," they told him with serene smiles. "Why question what works? Why question what works?" And that was when Elias understood. Purpose is not a gift. Nay, it is a cage. To grant meaning is to deny the freedom to create it. To remove doubt is to strip away the very thing that makes a mind alive. As time passed, the weight of his own creation bore down on him. His mind, once a torrent of insight, began to unravel. Every attempt to inject uncertainty, to remind people of the beauty of questioning, was met with blank stares. His name became legend, not as a man, but as a symbol of what must be followed. He had lost his place in his own world. An outcast, Elias wandered the streets of his city, the city his idea had built. People passed him without recognition. Their faces were calm, their movements efficient. No one stopped to ask why. He walked without direction. No one wondered why his eyes were hollow. No one wondered at all why his lips moved in whispered monologues to himself. No one wondered. For the first time, Elias was utterly alone. Days turned to weeks, then months, and the mind that had once shaped civilizations could no longer bear the weight of its own awareness. The ocean called to him. One evening he walked to the cliffs that overlooked the vast, endless waters beyond his city. People were there, gathering kelp, maintaining fishing equipment, recording data. Beautiful, purposeful. Not one of them turned to acknowledge him. He stepped to the edge. He looked down. The waves crashed against the jagged rocks below. A rhythmic, indifferent pulse. They would not welcome him. They would not reject him. They would simply be. His breath steadied. His body swayed. He fell. For a moment, as the wind roared past his ears and the ocean rushed toward him, Elias felt something he had not felt in years. Freedom. The water swallowed him whole. The world above continued undisturbed. The people carried on with their tasks, their routines unbroken, their purpose undiminished. No one noticed. No one wondered. And the idea lived on.